In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about complex numbers. And we're just going to keep it very brief. We're going to talk about adding and multiplying complex numbers. Now, I assume most of you have seen complex numbers, or mostly imaginary numbers, probably, in your algebra classes. But just as a reminder, complex numbers are actually the combination of both real numbers and imaginary numbers put together. And imaginary numbers are given by that variable I. I is for imaginary. What? Crazy. And I is just the square root of -1. Now, as a little reminder, I squared is equal to -1. You'll have to know that when you're multiplying, it'll come in really handy. So keep that in the back of your mind. Whenever you see I squared, you just want to replace it with -1. That's it. Okay, so we can combine I with real numbers to create complex numbers, so A plus BI. So you can see the first part here, the first number is going to be your real part, and then the second part here, the BI, is going to be your complex, or imaginary part, I should say. Imaginary. It's really not imaginary. We just call them that. It's okay. So just like real numbers, you can perform operations on complex numbers. And with adding and subtracting, it's pretty awesome because it's just like collecting like terms. Add your real parts together, add your imaginary parts together. Now, again, when you're doing your subtraction problems, be very careful that you are distributing that subtraction sign to both items in that second parentheses. So we have -4 plus 3i. There's nothing in front of it that we have to multiply in. But over here, that subtraction sign, I have to make it -6. Negative times a negative is a positive. And then we just collect like terms. -4 and -6 are the real parts, so it becomes -10. 3i and 7i, just 10i. It's a coincidence that they have the same number there, but other than that, they have nothing in common. So that would be it. That's simplifying or adding together, I should say subtracting, to complex numbers. Right, you knew what I meant. It's okay. Now remember, I told you it was very important that I squared is -1. Now, when you have two complex numbers, notice they look like two binomials. How do we multiply two binomials? We use the FOILing method. So first, outside, inside, and last. So let's go ahead and multiply. 2 times 3 gives us 6. 2 times 4i is 8i. -3i times 3, -9i. -3i times 4i, that's going to be -12i squared, because I times I is squared. Now let's go ahead and simplify this. 6 plus, the i's can be added together. 8 minus 9i is -1i. Now this -12i squared, what we can do is we can actually replace that I squared with -1. Just replace the whole thing. So it's -12 times -1, which makes this 6 minus 1i plus 12. Basically, that I squared just flips the sign in front. That's all it really does. It's pretty awesome. So you could skip all those steps and just go, oh, this turns it into a positive. That's sweet. Now we can add together the real part. 6 plus 12 is going to give us 18 minus I. That's going to be your final answer. And in most of these problems, complex numbers will just go down to a binomial, 2 terms. That's it. So that's what's pretty sweet about complex numbers. They have a tendency to just simplify so nicely because you get rid of all those I squareds. Eventually we may talk about I cubes, that sort of thing. But that's for the future. Just stick with these for right now.